Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Danvers Zoning Board of Appeals. We are now in session. I would ask that you would turn off your cell phones or set them to silent so we are not interrupted. I'm going to start by introducing our board members tonight. To my right, Jeff Sauer. He'll be filling in as our clerk. Myself is... Can you hold your conversation, please? Thank you. Myself, John Bowner, as the chair. To my left is Ken Jarvinen. And joining us remotely online is Corrine Doherty. Corrine, can you just give me a microphone check?
Can you hear me?
I can, all right, thank you. And our planning director from our planning division, Mr. Brian Sekeli. Folks, I'm going to go through our procedure. We have 4 new cases tonight and 1 continued case. Actually, no, I'll ask for a motion on minutes first. You're all in receipt of minutes dated October 30th of this year. If there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion to accept our minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the minutes.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So we're on Danvers Cable, and we ask when the clerk reads your case that you go up to the podium, identify yourself, present your, what it is you'd like to do. From there, we'll ask questions of you, the board. At that point, once all our questions are answered, we'll open it up for public comment. Anyone that wants to be heard, just raise your hand. I'll call you up. Again, announce yourself, your name, your address. And from there, we'll close public comment, and it'll come back to the board for deliberations. At that point, we ask not to be interrupted. This is an open meeting, and you will hear our deliberations live, and you'll get a sense of how the board is going to vote. I will give you what your options are at that point. You know, you may ask for a continuance if you think that that's going to, help your case. We can take a vote, or you can also withdraw without prejudice. If we take a vote and you're denied, you're not able to come back before us for a 2-year period. So I think that's everything, and Mr. Clerk, we'll start with our first continued case.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is 99 Dayton Street, zoned R3. Request for a special permit to operate a major home occupation and to appeal fines levied by the zoning enforcement officer for operating a major home occupation and the parking of trucks and trailers on site. Request made by Michael Jones, docket 23-5041.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. How are you, gentlemen?
Good, and you are, again, for the record.
Michael Jones, 99 Dayton Street.
Okay, Mr. Jones, I know you were back for us just, I guess, 2 meetings ago.
Yeah,
And I asked for a continuance, so what would you like to bring to light or adjust with your application, if anything?
Yeah, so one of the things that we were discussing that the board was thinking as a resolution to, rather than parking them in the driveway, was the ability to allow them parked on the streets, which Danvers does allow. Well, so what I wanted to do was take some photos of the truck parked in both locations. We live on a corner of Putnam and Dayton Street. So I parked just the truck, not the trailer, but just the truck, just to show where it would be in lines with the oncoming traffic. The one-way, or I should say dead-end street on Putnam Street has school buses that come and go in the morning. The children congregate right in the front in the corner of our yard there. So for the board to look, I did take some photos, if I could present them to you. It's just to show, I've got vehicles passing my vehicles as they're parked on the street. It pushes the cars completely into the oncoming traffic side.
Yeah, sure, bring them up. I mean, we do ask that this stuff be submitted in advance.
Because it was a continuance, that's why. That's the Dayton Street side.
Okay,
This is the Putnam Street side.
okay. We'll have some back and forth. You can go back to the podium.
But I wanted to bring those to the board's attention just to show parking them in the street, I think, would be more of a detriment than parking them in the driveway, which we had built specifically behind the oak trees to try and hide them from the street. Now, just to be clear, I know it's being deemed as a major home occupation that we're applying for, but I just want to make sure the board is aware that it's strictly just for the parking of a second truck and
Yeah,
trailer.
no, I think we're all clear
Okay,
about
good,
that.
good,
I think
yeah.
if my memory serves me right in reviewing the minutes, although under our bylaws, it's considered a major home occupation, what you're requesting, just to recap, was to be able to park 2 commercial pickup trucks and 2 commercial trailers.
Correct.
And that request hasn't changed.
Correct.
Okay, and these are some photos
Just showing that
just
if we...
showing if you were parked on the street versus your own property.
Correct.
Okay, anything else you want to add?
No, that's it right now.
All right, I'll open it up to questions. Jeff, we'll
Should
start
I
with you.
stay here? Or
Yeah,
oh,
stay
okay.
right there.
Yeah.
Last meeting, I believe you were talking about removing one of the trailers. How's that going?
Haven't gotten many bites on it yet, but it's still on the market.
That's the plan?
Yeah.
Okay, I have no further
But the
questions.
second vehicle, if I can say, if one of them needs to go into the shop or something like that, having a second pickup to supplement my current vehicle, obviously, so the business is not down, you know? The second trailer is not necessarily necessary, but the second truck is to keep the business going if need be. And they're just pickups, they're not commercial dump trucks or anything to that nature.
I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Jeff. Ken?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Karine, I'll go out to you.
So, Mr. Jones,
Yes.
what you're saying is that right now, you have 3 trucks, one is for sale, and the one for sale also has a trailer. Is that
No,
correct?
I have 2 trucks and 2 trailers. And one of
Okay.
and I'm currently selling one of the dump trailers. But I have 2 pickup trucks and I have 2 trailers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at no time did you have 3 trucks?
At no time, no.
Okay. I do not have any other questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Karine. Brian, I guess I'll go out to you maybe, and I don't know if you know this answer, but I also do not. So these photographs that Mr. Jones is showing us shows this vehicle parked on Dayton Street. But there's the white, I guess I would consider that a breakdown lane. I didn't think a motor vehicle could park if it can't be totally in that lane. But again, this isn't really a zoning thing, I don't know.
Sure. So that's a fog line. That's essentially to narrow the lane to. It's more of a traffic calming
Okay.
line than anything. It's to narrow the roadway.
Okay.
If there, as far as I know, there are no parking restrictions on this
So
street.
you can straddle this fog line, as you know.
It doesn't seem like you should. I would agree
Right.
with that, but it is not. It has nothing.
Okay.
That line has nothing to do with parking or
Okay.
anything like that. It's a fog line.
Okay.
Essentially to keep your car in the lane.
Okay. So, Mr. Jones, I don't think I have really any new questions. I think I had a good handle on what you were asking for when you first presented to us. I think the real dilemma here is, and I will open it up for public comment, you know, you have, and I can't remember, I know you had a neighbor speak in favor of you keeping your commercial vehicles on your property. And I think what led you to us is you have neighbors who don't want your commercial vehicles on your property. So,
if I may-
well, hold on. So it's a real, you know, it's kind of pick your poison here, and I don't know if either way is great. But I guess these are more comments, but I don't think I have any particular questions, but I just want to recap. So you have other vehicles on the property. and
Correct.
Just help me quantify. It was 3 or 4?
In that particular driveway, there's 2 residential cars and a motorcycle.
Okay, and where one of the trailers did not have a valid
Sticker.
registration sticker.
Right,
Has
it
that
is,
been-
it is valid through the RMV.
No, I understand it,
Yeah.
but has the sticker been attached?
I
to
haven't
it?
received it from the RMV yet, no.
Okay. Okay, I don't have any further. Anything else out of you guys? Karine, you all set?
If I don't know, and again, I'm not speaking on behalf of my neighbors, but where this was put in the paper as a major home occupation, I just wanted to make sure that my neighbors are aware, I'm not looking to run a business out of the house.
I
So
I think you've made that clear, and
Yeah,
I
but
think
I-
the board's made that clear, and I
Okay.
think that's the way Mr. Zakelli understands it as well.
Right.
This, if we're to pass this, would be conditioned with what it is specifically under major home occupation, correct?
So right now, there's a request for a special permit under section 9.4 to operate a major home occupation. We can put in there specifically related to like, we can condition that, so it's
Yeah,
very
so
clear
the
to
language would be in there.
everybody, so that
You
no one.
wouldn't be able to, so just for the, if there's neighbors here, just for their benefit, you wouldn't be able to do anything except what we're going to grant you through a special permit tonight, if we grant it.
And I know it's not ultimately my decision, but when I built the driveway, I mean, I did so because I thought for the
Yeah,
better.
no, I think, yeah,
it
we
was all
get
for-
it.
for the
I
right
think we
reasons,
understand.
yeah.
Okay, I'm going to open this up. Anybody here that would like to speak on 99 Dayton Street? Yep, in the back. Come on up.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Mitch Abatessa. I live at 4 Putnam Lane, and I'm a direct neighbor to Mr. Jones, Mike. At the last meeting, I got the notice, and I wasn't too sure, and again, I thought it would allow his business to grow, whereas I'm a direct, like my backyard and his backyard basically touch each other's. I didn't know at the time if the business would be allowed to grow. I didn't know if you're going to have 3 trucks turn into 4 trucks, and I have no problem with you parking the trucks and trailers there in the front of the driveway. As I told you last time, my dad had a small business for years. I know the hurdles you have to get over to run a small business. If the town could put in conditions where it makes sense, where you could just limit it, again, I just don't want the trucks to turn into 3 trucks, 4 trucks, and then have the 2 guys that show up to work, who've always been super nice and pleasant, turn into 3 guys or 4 guys that are parking on Putnam Lane that the buses can't get by with the kids at the bus stop. So I just don't want it to be a logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
So at the last meeting, I wasn't too sure. That's why I came and I asked some questions. I had a few conversations in town. I understand that. And if you're already doing it now, and if you and the town want to figure out some way to make it work, I'm okay with that. My life is not going to be impacted negatively or positively. And again, I am right next door. Like, our yards touch each other.
Okay, so
So-
as presented, you'd be in favor of it?
Right, as long as it would be limited so it couldn't grow. And again, Mike, you say, I understand you say you don't want it to grow, you want to just keep operations
Well,
going the way they
Please
are.
address the board.
I apologize.
Yeah, no
I
worries.
understand that Mr. Jones doesn't want to increase the operations, he just wants to keep it going as is. If the town could put something in there just to make sure that wouldn't happen, or as you all specified, there could be some conditions that are
Yeah,
just
so
regarding to
what-
parking or something?
If we grant this, we would be granting a special permit, and the 2 conditions would be that there'd be no more than 2 commercial vehicles parked on his property and no more than 2 commercial trailers. So anytime Mr. Jones were to go outside of those numbers, it's an enforceable item through the Code Administration Department.
Okay.
And he wouldn't be able to change it, he'd have to come back before this board if he wanted to do anything else
Right.
regarding a
And
major.
no work hours or anything wouldn't be, and again, not that,
Well, we could.
and he's not
I guess
running
we
heavy
can- yeah, we
equipment or
can
making a lot of
condition-
noise there,
We can
so.
condition hours if that's something you're requesting.
Well, I just, it hasn't been a problem yet with hours and work and things like that, and if it stays the way it is now, I don't think it should be a real problem for me where I'm located right next to him, and again, the yards are touching.
Okay.
But I just wasn't too sure last time, that's why I asked the questions, and I wanted to let the board know and Mr. Jones know that's my line of questioning
That's
from
why,
last
that's
time.
why we do this.
Okay.
I appreciate it, thank
Very
you.
good, thank you. Anyone else on 99? Yeah, come on up.
My name's Alan Cole. I live at 102 Dayton Street, right across the street. He said he doesn't do any work out of there. They are, at 7 o'clock in the morning, he's banging those tailgates or those trailers. He's taking mattresses off the trailers and stripping the mattress, stripping it down so he can get rid of it, you know, from the springs to the cloth material. He makes a lot of noise there, and I can't see why he should get a special permit. I mean, I think there's a lot of other people in this town who would like to get special permits too. He should have looked into this before he bought the house 2 years ago. And, you know, well, he didn't buy the house, but she did, you know, but they should have looked into that, you know, that business, because he's not allowed to do it. He should be allowed to do it. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yep. Mr. Bradstreet, sure. And actually, excuse me, Mr. Bradstreet, before you proceed, Mr. Jones, I just wanted to let you know, I should have let you know at the top, you are allotted a full board, which is 5 members. We currently only have 4 tonight, so just, depending on how our deliberations go, you are allotted a full board, and you could ask for a continuance if you don't like how things are going. You would, because it's a special permit, would be required to get what's known as a supermajority, so that would mean all 4 members tonight would have to be in favor. All right? Go ahead, Mr. Bradstreet.
My understanding that white line on the side of the road is a fog line.
Yes.
It denotes the edge of the roadway.
Okay.
My understanding. I could be wrong.
I think
And it.
you're right. Mr. Zakelli said the same.
Okay.
Not in this case. I mean, because it's further in. It's to narrow the lane. It's the paved surface is a little wider in some cases, but it doesn't really matter.
Okay, thank you. In the winter, when it snows, the streets, the ways in town are plowed. If the snow, or a couple of them, the road tends to narrow. If the vehicles are parked on the roadway, wouldn't that be a detriment to the flow of traffic, narrowing of the road? I don't know. The other question I had was, if you set it, or set the hours of operation for him to run a business out of his home, starting time, finishing time, when it comes to loading or unloading equipment, I'd hate to, not in his case, but I'd hate to have someone operate a business and start to load up for the day at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Makes sense.
I wouldn't like it.
We
I
can
don't
ask
think
the
you would
applicant.
either. And then the same thing in the afternoon, when the end of your day comes, to me, ideally would be the time to load up for the next day, because you know what you're going to do the next day, so you wouldn't be upsetting the neighbors. My opinion, but thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on 99 Dayton? All right, Mr. Jones, if you could come back up, I will ask about that. So what about that, hours of operation? Would that be something you'd be also willing to take as a condition?
Yeah, we typically don't run more than 8 hours a day. We start at 7. My guys are usually home by 3 unless it's a long
So
job.
we could say nothing before 7 a.m. and nothing after 4 p.m.?
Sure.
Does that work for you?
Yeah.
And you'd take that as a condition?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
I would like to clarify or get clarification on one more point.
Sure.
The neighbor brought up the fact that you were doing some kind of processing at your house. You were dismantling mattresses or whatever. I mean, I'm perfectly happy voting for parking cars, but we need to understand, if you're processing materials or sorting things or making other noise or nuisance, then that might reflect differently on how the board votes. So
That
could you
could-
explain what goes on at your property?
Yeah, so the state of Massachusetts last November stopped accepting mattresses as a disposal. So what we need to do in order to dispose of them properly is just strip the outer portion of them off. I've been doing it in the back of the dump trailers prior to taking them to the transfer stations, but if I need to drive it somewhere else, do it in the transfer station's parking lot, that's fine too. I don't have a problem with that. That's the only thing that we
Well,
typically do.
you could see how.
Yeah.
We don't.
That's not what we're approving, right? We're, as you have pointed out to us, you're not running a major home occupation,
Yeah,
right?
I can do it at a I can do it where I dispose
Well,
of them.
I just think
Yeah.
it's, you're asking for vehicles and vehicles only.
Yeah.
You've just agreed to a set of hours.
And
And certainly to Jeff's point.
the neighbors are sensitive
the
about business creep.
processing of it, if you will.
That's
Yeah.
completely understandable.
Might be a
Okay.
way to kind of meet in the middle here.
So you'll take a condition to don't do any processing or whatever of
Mattress
materials?
stripping or whatever. The
Okay.
next thing might be, right?
Be happy to
I
do
think
that.
we're
sure.
talking vehicles and vehicles only.
Yeah, yeah. If I need to do it in a different location, I can do that, that's fine.
Okay, anyone else on 99 Dayton? All right, I will come back to the board and, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, okay, you already spoke, but come on up. Again,
Alan
for the
Cole,
record, your
102
name and
Dayton
address.
Street. I live across the street. The point I want to bring up is, he's doing this right between 7 and 7:30, and he's not even trying to be quiet. He's throwing stuff
Okay,
around.
hold on. He just declared to us he was not going to process anything. That's what I heard. I just want to make sure
But-
you heard that.
Yeah, that's as far as the...
Maybe he's been doing that.
As far as the
He's-
mattresses go, and stuff, he's pulling apart, he's pulling stuff off there, but it's just about the unnecessary noise, slamming the tailgates of the trailer. It's 7:15 in the morning. I have tenants live upstairs, and they're retired too, and, we just don't like to hear that stuff. He shouldn't be doing that. That's part of his business, doing that. He's throwing stuff in the trailer, taking stuff off, throwing it back in, and I think he's doing it just to aggravate me, and he's doing a good job of doing it too. So,
Well, I can't speak to that. You live there, I don't.
Well,
But, hold on.
Yeah.
So I just think, he's here trying to, he's requesting a special permit. That's what we're here to talk about, is a special permit.
okay,
You as a neighbor are indicating other things, which we heard.
I live right across the street.
I get it,
and
and he
I'm
has
the close-
taken a condition to
And I
not,
see everything that goes on. I mean, it's just, my house sits right out in the edge of the street.
Well, this
you
is an
know, and-
opportunity for us to...
this is how we get to understand what's going on. We
This is
don't
a-
live there, right? But we're hearing it as you're presenting it. He's just stated to us, though, that he is not going to do any processing at all. Now, does that mean he's going to close gates to trailers and things? I would imagine so, but understanding that Mrs. Jones is here looking for something out of us, I would think he's being sensitive to the neighbors because he doesn't want to park on the street. Well, hold on. Otherwise, he doesn't have to be before us, and he can just park on the street, and he can slam trailer gates and things of this nature. I think, we're trying to make a decision here based on all the factors. So I'm hearing you loud and clear, but we're getting a promise from Mr. Jones on how he's going to operate from this point moving forward. Maybe that hasn't been the case up to now, but that's what I'm hearing from him. And I'm also hearing your complaint, so.
This is our opportunity
This is
to apply conditions.
This is an actionable item, so if Mr. Jones doesn't fall, if this were to pass tonight, if he doesn't follow this is something that the planning department can enforce, and you can simply put a complaint in with them, and they'll go down and see what's happening. But that's, we haven't voted on it yet, so I can't say yea or nay
All
at
right.
this point,
Fair enough.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Okay, anyone else on 99 Dayton? Okay,
Kareen is,
yeah, Kareen, you got a
Yes.
question? Go ahead.
Just one more thing. I think because of the pushback from the neighbors, when we put conditions on this, we might want Mr. Jones to come back in 6 months just
Okay.
for a follow-up to make sure that all the conditions we put in place are being complied with.
Yeah, no, that sounds reasonable. Mr. Jones, if you could get back to the mic, please. Is that something you'd be willing to
Absolutely.
take as a condition? We'll have you back in 6 months and
Yeah,
see
if
how.
if I make a promise to the board that I'm going to do something, I'll follow through with it. Yeah.
Well, that is honorable, and that's what we like to hear. However, I think a 6-month check-in,
Yeah.
given the neighbors, are kind of in this with you, right? And this gives an opportunity for everybody to see if everybody's playing well in the sandbox together.
I mean, nobody moves into a new house in hopes to be enemies with their neighbors.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
get that.
I mean,
Again, we
yeah.
don't live there. We're just trying to get all the facts, so.
Yeah.
Okay, it sounds like, Kareen, Mr. Jones would take that condition, although, I guess, would it be a condition or would it just be a request, Mr. Zakelli?
That would be a
it
condition.
seems to be more typical here in Danvers for these check-ins,
Okay.
but it's more of a Danvers thing.
Maybe it's a
But
trust
there's
thing, I don't know.
There's nothing against the law about it.
Okay, all right. But he agreed to that, so we'll put that in there. Okay, any other questions out of the board? All right, we will deliberate. Jeff, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Corinne, you didn't get a chance to see the photos that the applicant brought in, but we've all been down to the site, and it's a very tight neighborhood. And I think parking on the street is a worse outcome than parking in the driveway. I am also sensitive to the fact that the neighbors don't want this business to grow. They don't want the nuisance noise. They don't want anything, and I won't vote for anything but just parking those vehicles quietly in that driveway. But I would approve this application with the list
The
of conditions
conditions,
that
okay.
we've outlined.
Very good, thank you, Jeff. Ken?
I too would vote for this. I said before I didn't like the vehicles on the street. I think that's a worse outcome for everyone, so I'll vote for this.
Okay, Corinne?
I will also vote for this with all the conditions put in place. I agree with both Jeff and Ken that it is a worse outcome to have all of these vehicles parked on the street. And since we don't really have an alternative, I will vote for this, but again, with all the conditions we've put in place.
Thank you, Corinne. Mr. Jones, when I first read, and again, that's what I think the beauty of these hearings are. When I first read this, I was kind of a little bit, to me, it's a residential neighborhood. Why do we have to try to, jam commercial vehicles in it? My initial thought is, they could be put off-site somewhere. I understand there would be an expense to you to do that. However, it seems you were proactive to try to put this half-moon driveway in to kind of make it easier on yourself to get your vehicles in and out of there. I agree with my fellow board members that to put these vehicles on the street, which you could do without a special permit, I think would be more detrimental to the neighborhood. I'm definitely sensitive to the neighbors. It's always good to hear from the neighbors when we're making a decision, because we don't live there. And if we did, we'd have to recuse ourselves and wouldn't even be able to vote on it. So, I'm going to agree with my board members, and I am going to vote in favor of this. I just hope you really heard what was said tonight.
Absolutely.
And that we are going to limit this to 2 commercial pickup trucks, and I want to state pickup trucks, and 2 commercial trailers, along with no activity prior to 7 a.m. or post 4 p.m. And then we'll ask for a 6-month check-in. I think we're going to probably call it in the May timeframe. And I guess I'll lean to the planning department, Mrs. Kelly, to arbitrarily pick a date, or shall I set the date right now?
We can just say the second meeting in May.
Second meeting in May, which I see here as being May 20th. And you'll get notified, and your abutters will get notified as well. So we'll have a check-in May 20th of 2024, and see how everything is going. Hopefully, everything is going well. So with that said, could I get a motion, please, for a special permit?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we grant a special permit from Section 9.4 to operate a major home occupation in an R3 zone, and to appeal fines levied for the illegal operation on the property within R3 zone, with conditions that there be no more than 2 pickup trucks and 2 trailers, commercial,
Right.
no activity before 7 a.m., no processing of materials on site at any time, and a 6-month checkup.
And let's just add in and nothing after 4 p.m.
And nothing after 4 p.m., no activity after 4 p.m.
Okay, I've got a motion with, sorry, go ahead.
The municipal water and sewer system shall not become overloaded by the proposed use. The public streets shall not become overloaded by the proposed use. The value of other land and buildings will not be depreciated by the proposed use. The specific site is appropriate for the location of the use or structures. The use developed will not adversely affect the neighborhood. There will not be an undue nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians, and adequate and appropriate facilities will be provided to ensure the proper operation of the proposed use, structures, and conditions. The proposed use or structure will be in harmony with the general purpose of this bylaw.
Very good. That's a mouthful. I've got a motion. Could I get a second, please?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Good luck, and I hope it works out well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, moving along.
On to our regular items.
Yes, we're doing right to the top.
Our first regular item tonight is 29 Andover Street, Suite 3E, Route 114A. Request for a use variance from Table 1 of allowable uses in the Danvers zoning bylaw to operate an indoor baseball training center in an existing building for children and teens in the region. Request made by Expos Baseball LLC, docket number 235048.
Somebody here on this application? Yeah, come on up, identify yourself and tell us what you'd like to do.
Hi, Rich Gilbride's the name, Rich Gilbride Senior, Rich Gilbride Junior. Over on 114, we've been in the area running a baseball training center for high school students for the last 10 to 12 years, always rented on Route 1 at the Premier Sportsplex. He graduated college recently, wants to get into it full-time after he just got done playing collegiately, so we decided to find a spot that might work for us. It's in a building on Route 114 that currently has a couple of recreational places in it, title boxing, a fitness center, and it just works for us to open it there. Finding out that it wasn't for recreational purposes, we're asking that we be able to go in there and just work with some kids and hopefully get them onto college baseball and beyond.
Okay, tell us a little bit about, I guess, the day-to-day operations and how you see it moving forward, I guess.
During the week, we're in there 3 to 4 hours, usually after school, 3:30 to 7 o'clock, working with very small groups, sometimes just one person, sometimes 2 or 3. Just going over mechanics of baseball, things that would get them, to move on into the game. On weekends, we may go in there at 9, be out by 2, 3 in the afternoon, same type of thing. Small groups, all individual lessons, again, just working with high school players.
And employees?
He's going to run it, and I'm going to help him.
Just you two?
Yeah, and that's not, full-time, I'm a dentist in the area, so I have a full-time practice. He's going to take it on as his.
Dentists and baseball, this goes well together,
It
right?
does, it sure does.
Get some clients.
You got it, I've had a few.
Okay,
So
anything
yeah,
else you
he's
wanna tell
gonna
us?
kind of run it on hopefully 20, 30 hours a week, whatever it may be. We've been doing it in the area for quite a long time. We've sent over 150 kids to college. I think we've had 12 go in the last 6 or 7 drafts.
Great.
To move on in the game. So it's just easier than renting elsewhere to have our own little place to work with kids.
Okay. Anything else you want to present to us? Okay. Kareem, we'll start with you.
I don't have any questions at this time.
Okay, thank you. Ken?
You gonna have a batting cage, batting machine in there and stuff?
No, not machines, but we're going to just net the perimeter and just pull out nets. So if we get a flip to a guy, we're more mechanical rather than game simulation, things like that.
Yeah.
We're trying to teach kids the right way to play the game is what we're more about than going in and like simulated games and things like that.
All right, yeah, I don't have any other questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Ken. Jeff?
Where was your previous operation? Was it on Route 1?
Yes, we rented Route 1. There were 2 places on Route 1. A new one that opened a few years ago that currently just got changed over to a gymnastics center, and that's what kind of had to make us make a move. We were at the Sportsplex on the north side for 4 or 5 years. We switched over to the south side for the last couple of years. They recently have converted to a full-time gymnastics center, so that's when we got together, one another, and said, let's just try to find a place.
Find another building.
Yeah, and the people that own the building we're in, which is the Kelly Auto Group,
Yeah.
the CEO of that, Brian Heaney, his boys have played for us. We just got one down to Richmond to play ball. He's there now, and his 2 younger ones. So we kind of all got together and said, this may be the perfect situation with that suite becoming available, with there being the other recreational places in there currently. So it just kind of all fell together for us.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Thanks. I think I understand what you're trying to do. I'm just looking at the floor plan. I didn't really see much. I I can't tell if this is an actual photograph or a rendering,
It's
but,
just a rendering.
all right.
Yeah, so the way they have the building now, they got, before we even got involved,
It's an empty
they,
space?
yeah, they demoed it, they did what they had to do to it. You know, we're using existing, we're doing nothing. We're just going in and rolling out turf like carpet and netting the perimeter and going in. That's all
What
we're
about
doing.
the ceiling?
The ceiling gets net.
It'll be a net as well.
Ceiling gets net just to protect the lights more than anything.
Okay.
Because they've got lights they've just put in, the owners. The owners got it back to a space. It was a dog, everyday dog care center before us. That's what they were doing in there, was dog training, I guess.
Okay.
So it just, they altered it a bit and cleaned it up a little bit.
This is the building with the Mexican restaurant.
Yeah.
Yes,
In the
right
front.
behind it.
So,
Yeah.
I know Mrs. Zakelli has the Google map view up. Your suite is which one? Oh,
Isn't
The
it this
back
one in
right
the
corner.
corner, in the
this one
back?
in the back? Very back?
No.
It's in the middle.
It's somewhere right in here.
Okay.
Well-
restaurant, U.S. leather.
Oh, here, it says every dog
Okay.
training center is the middle bay.
Oh, yeah, the
Okay, so
dog's
you're
farm.
kinda
Middle
right
bay.
now. Okay. And what are the ages of your, I guess?
All high school.
Clients, or,
Freshman, sophomore, junior, seniors, all high school students.
so high school age?
All high
No-
school.
Nobody below high school?
No, we haven't
Not
gone that
something you
direction
target.
yet, no.
Okay. And you used before us because this is highway corridor,
Yeah, and that, because
or
they,
114A.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
sorry.
And he's not a car dealership.
Sorry, it's 114A,
Yeah.
and the reason why is because in the
No
table, the
recreation.
table of uses doesn't allow this, yeah.
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 Okay. All right, I don't think I have any other questions. Anybody here would like to speak on, I'm sorry, the address again,
29.
Yeah, 29 Andover.
29 Andover Street.
So this is a variance, huh? A use variance?
Yeah, it's a use variance.
Okay.
Okay, and there's nobody online as well. And again, I should have stated at the top, you're allowed in a full board, you only have 4 members tonight. You would require, because it's a variance, a supermajority. All right, we'll start with deliberations.
That's it?
Go ahead, Corinne.
I would vote for this.
Thank you, Corinne. Ken?
I'll vote for this as well.
And Jeff?
I will vote for this.
Yeah, I think this is an appropriate use. Doesn't look like it'll be a heavy traffic generator, and sounds like you guys have experience setting these types of things up, so.
Yep.
I think.
Mexican food goes with baseball.
Yeah, I guess.
I will say very briefly, this is more of a realization that we need to do something about the use table in this specific
Yes.
zone, because this is a totally
that's
innocuous
Yeah, it's-
use that fits into the surrounding neighborhood. So
Continuing
it's more of something that we need to work on as well.
Makes sense. Okay, could I get a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I request that we get a special permit to operate, hold
Oh,
on.
use variance, sorry.
Use variance.
I've moved to issue a use variance under Table 1 of the Danvers Zoning Bylaw to allow the operation of an indoor baseball training center in an existing building for children and teens, and that this condition does not affect other properties or structures in the same zoning district. A literal enforcement of the zoning bylaw would involve substantial hardship to the applicant. Granting this variance will not create a substantial detriment to the public good and will not nullify or derogate from the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw.
I've got a motion. Could I get a second, please?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Very good. You got it. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
You too.
All right. Moving right along.
All right, Mr. Chairman, our next application is 21 Tibbetts Avenue, zoned R2, requesting a finding under sections 3.11 and 3.12 of the Danvers zoning bylaw to demolish a pre-existing non-conforming garage on a non-conforming lot and build a new garage that will be located closer to the property line than allowed as of right. Request made by Philip Sundenfield, document number 23-5049.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening. My name's Philip Sutenfield, and I own the property at 21 Tibbetts Avenue. The property consists of a two-story house and a two-car garage. And as mentioned, I'm looking to replace the existing two-car garage with a new two-car garage. And basically, what I'd like to do, if it's okay, have your permission, architect Joe Betancourt from JMB Design, he has a little presentation, and will be able to explain, so you'll better understand
Sure, that'd be
what's going to
great.
be done. Okay, I'd like to introduce Joe Betancourt. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Joe Betancourt. I'm an architect with a design studio at 14 North Central Street in Peabody. We appreciate the opportunity to be here to share our project. If you could go to the next slide, please. Oh, this does work. Okay. So this is a slide of the existing plot plan. You can't quite see, but if you see my highlighter here, yeah. So that's the footprint of the existing garage. A couple of things to note with this plan. There are a couple of pinch points that we see. So this back corner of the garage is about 2 feet 1 inch from the property line. As it opens up to the front, we're about 4 feet 6 inches. So it's very tight. You also see the sort of relationship between the left-hand side of the garage as well as the property line. You'll also notice another pinch point with the back corner of the garage and the bump out of the existing house. So the configuration of the garage and the orientation is one thing. Secondly, the numbers in red are actually the elevations of grade, so this isn't a floodplain. The current garage actually sits right on grade, and it doesn't comply with FEMA floodplain regulations that allow water to come in and leave. If you could go to the next slide, please. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so this slide, you see in red is the existing footprint of the garage. So you see those 2 pinch points. The pink, the light pink, shows the proposed layout. So you can see we're trying to keep 5 feet 4 inches as a parallel relationship from the property line, which is in red, to the south, keeping that all the way through. We're also narrowing the width of the front. So the existing width is about 20 feet 6 inches. We're going to narrow that to about 17, so that from the street it sort of presents a little narrower elevation. A couple of other things to note with this slide. The green portion on the upper part of the image is the property line, and it was recently landscaped. Very nicely done, but my client was actually using that portion previously to access that second garage bay. So, sorry, someone has a question?
Can he use the pointer that's on the podium rather than the laser pointer to point out what he's talking about?
Sure. Is there, I think there's a pointer up there.
There's a metal pointer just right on top.
Oh, okay, yes. Yeah, thank you, sorry about that. Yeah, so this,
You can take the microphone with you.
Now you're going to be a talk show host.
okay, let's see.
We're on cable, so if you walk away, no one at home can hear.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a couple of other things to note on this slide. So this line here is actually the property line, very recently landscaped, very nicely done. But what it does is it creates a pinch point to the second garage bay. So what we're doing as a result of that is we're going to have a straight driveway in, a single car garage door, and then rather than parking the cars side by side, we're going to go front and back, so a tandem. And then, again, that's because of the configuration, that pinch point. So that's what we're looking to do. If you could go to the next slide, please. So you can't quite see the colors here, but this is the proposed footprint of the garage. The primary garage component is this central rectangle. So you can see there's a space here in the front, a space in the back for the second car. We are proposing 2 storage areas that are attached to the garage. Currently, there's no shed. There's stuff out in the yard, so What we'd like to do is to configure the garage such that there's some additional storage on the sides as well as on the top. Next slide, please. These colors are way off. So this elevation, this view sort of shows us kind of that increased space between the left-hand side, the fence, and the left side of the garage. So the idea is to really try to open that up a little bit to create some more light and air between the property line and the garage, and really allowing for more of a view from the neighborhood out to the water. So we think that's a benefit. Here we also see the narrower width, so that's about 17 feet 6 inches. It's a little bit taller than the existing. This is 17 feet 6 inches, so it's about 4 feet taller. And again, the idea is to try to get some of that storage space up above. We see the property line to the right here and how that impacts sort of accessing what might be a second bay to the garage. Next slide, please. Very similar view. This is really more about scale and architecture and making sure that we want to sort of capture the scale of the neighbors next door. There are some beautiful houses in that area, I'm sure you know. So we want to sort of clean up the existing garage and really make sure that it fits in with the neighborhood. Next slide, please. So this is a little bird's eye view. We want to open up the space between the house and the garage a bit. So you see that one-story piece, which is kind of tucked away. You don't really see it from the street, but it really does benefit the efficiency of the garage a little bit. This allows kind of a little bit wider access from the driveway to the backyard. Next slide, please. Same sort of messaging. It's really about making sure that we do something that's going to fit with the quality of the neighborhood as we get in a little bit closer. You can't quite see it, but that's the property line right there. So that pinch point really sort of pushes the driveway to the left and sort of allows us to have that very efficient single-car garage for that front facade. Next slide. And then this is a view from the back, so from the water. Here you see the one-story piece, trying to keep that sort of low, understated, and then the taller piece, that middle piece of the garage is actually tucked back as a little bit more of a background piece. A couple of things to note with the proposed project. You can see this is very rough, but the idea is that we want to raise that sill height up so that and there will be flood vents in the new foundation. We're working with Bob Griffin, our civil engineer, and I believe this project is also going to go to conservation after this. So we're happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you. Jeff, I think we're going to start with you.
I only have one question on this inside view of the garage. I see lift 1 and lift 2. Is there a proposal, is that part of the plan to put car lifts in this garage?
Yes, and the reason for that is this area does flood. So with the lifts, the cars can get protected when the waters rise.
It's not if, it's when.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you. That's the only questions I have.
Okay, thank you. Ken?
I have no questions. Thanks.
Corinne, I'll go out to you.
Thank you. So originally, or the way the garage is situated now, there's a point at the back that's only 2 feet and 1 inch away. What is the I guess, amount of feet that it's going to be now? Is it 6.4 for the entire new structure?
So our plan is showing, I believe, 5 feet 4 inches.
I think it's 5 feet 4, yeah.
Yeah, 5 feet 4 inches.
Okay. Okay, and I also see on the kind of picture drawings that you're going to be putting a fence. Is that true that you're putting a fence along that line where the property line where where the garage is going to be situated, or is that just part of the software-generated picture?
There's a fence there now, right?
See how there's a fence? Do you intend to put the fence up?
Oh, the fence you see right
Yeah,
now,
the white one to the left.
that fence is already there.
Yeah, so that is an existing fence.
Yes.
Oh, it is. I was out to the site. I don't remember seeing the fence. Do you intend on keeping it up?
Oh, this is my neighbor's.
All right, well, hold on. If you're going to speak, come up to the
Oh.
mic.
Sorry, thank you.
Somebody take the,
So the fence belongs to the neighbor on the left, but the idea, I believe, is to keep the fence, and again, to really try to open up that space so that there's that view corridor from the neighborhood out to the water.
Okay, thank you.
thanks, Corinne. So, Mr. Betancourt, I know you said 5.4 was going to be the new setback with the new garage, the proposed garage. Does that include the overhang? As our setback is measured to the overhang?
So that does not include the overhang. We would,
Because that looks like a significant overhang. What is that?
yeah, I think we could limit that to 8 inches on that overhang.
So really, you're looking for a 4-foot, 10-inch setback, it sounds like.
But in his defense, the 2.1, the 2 feet 1 inch is probably also not with this, with the overhang.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
That's
just
probably
trying
the
to-
foundation.
I'm just trying to understand, so
Yeah.
this drawing is showing 5.4, but that's not accurate.
Correct.
overhang.
Correct, it's not to the overhang.
So it actually would be 4 foot 8 inches, I think, right? You're saying it's
Yeah,
an 8
we
inch
we
overhang?
could try to make that number work at 5 feet.
No, I don't,
It's not-
I just want to know if we're going to okay
We just need to
this
put it on the
plan.
drawing.
You know, if this is what they're gonna,
Yeah, it's
Expect
gonna be
to.
what's on the drawing. If the drawing is incorrect, then whenever you could obviously submit a revised plan, whatever is agreed upon here, but it would have to, like, that's what we reference in the decision is the plan. So if the plan referenced the wrong number, that's an issue.
right, so. if
Thank you
the
for
building
clarifying.
Inspector went out and said, wait a minute, you're supposed to be at 5.4, then we have a problem, right? So we would ask that this be updated to reflect 4 foot 8 inch.
4.8, okay.
Very
Are
good.
you happy with that?
Does that work?
You can take
Yeah, I
more.
mean, it's essentially what we're
Okay.
what we're
Well,
showing.
it's double
Yeah.
what we have now, right? The 2.1, and I don't know if that 2.1 exists with the overhang or not.
Probably not.
I just want to make sure I understand the lift part of it, because having friends in Salisbury
Yeah, it's a
and
four-post.
knowing what they go through up there with, they can't even put lattice work without a lot of approval. I don't know if you've done any work up there because of their flooding issues. So the lifts are they're not for boats or anything, it's just for motor vehicles.
2 cars, yes.
Okay. So you'll stack the cars inside? Is that the idea, or is it only when there's
Only when
weather
there's
issues?
water.
Yeah, so there's a lift in the front,
Yep.
there's a lift in the back. And when it rains and it's going to flood, they'll just simply go up so that the water floods underneath and doesn't get inside the car.
So there's an anticipation, though, although this is going to be a brand-new garage, there's not going to be really any way to stop the water if there were a flood.
Correct. And I think if Bob Griffin were here, because we've been talking, so the idea is we're going to put in flood vents, which I believe we're required to do per FEMA regulations.
Okay.
So the water's going to come in, and the water will leave. And I think it's 1 flood vent for every 200 square feet, but we're going to work with Bob on that.
Sure.
To make sure that
I
that works
just,
properly.
I think, in my years on the sport, I can't remember any garages that came in with a lift in them. I could see this, say an auto mechanic saying, well,
You're
geez,
gonna see
yeah,
a lot more, to be
great
honest.
place.
You're
Yeah.
you're gonna see a lot more.
in this neighborhood, maybe.
Well, certainly on Tibbetts, but in general, you're gonna see this a lot more for coastal.
The guy with the superchargers across from Maple Street Church, where we built a big garage.
Oh, yeah,
He
yeah.
put lifts in to
did.
stack more cars.
Okay. Like Matchbox cars. Okay, I don't have any other questions. Anybody here would like to be heard on 21 Tibbetts Ave? read that.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michael McCarthy, and I'm from 23 Tibbetts. I'm the abutting neighbor with the fence. Could you bring up picture 8, slide 8? Corinne had asked about the fence.
Yes.
My fence is 2 feet off of my property line. I intend to put my entire length of my fence along my property line. There's a reason I wasn't able to do that. Off of the existing garage today, there are 4-foot roughly brackets that hang over my property. And I couldn't put the fence straight down my property line because of those. And so while I realize it will cost me thousands of dollars to have my fence reset, I plan on doing that as soon as, and I look forward to, by
Once the
the way,
garage is out of the way.
once that obstruction
So
is
you're
gone.
you're in favor of this project?
No, right now, I'm willing to, I didn't sign a document that Phil came around because I wanted to,
We're gonna
I
read
wanted
that
to
now.
understand more. The overhang was definitely one of the questions that I had. And I also wanted to know on the 5.4, is that off of my fence or is that off of the existing?
So that would be from the
Survey.
property line?
Great. Because I used to live at 19, and I spent about $5,000 to have that
So you know the
surveyed.
neighborhood well.
And then I moved 2 houses over, and I had that surveyed as well. So
Yeah,
I've
so
given
it's- so-
Hancock a ton of dough.
The
And
the
it-
applicant said they will be adjusting that to 4 foot 8 inches.
Yeah,
But that's the.
By the way,
overhang.
I love it. I think it's great. I look forward to, the neighborhood continuing. I've renamed it the Danvers Riviera.
Yeah.
And so,
It's starting to look very nice down there.
good. We know that Phil has 3 cars, potentially 4, I think he had mentioned, but he has 3. Those lifts are to lift very beautiful cars up. We hope that there's not too many cars around the neighborhood, that where everybody has 3 or 4, but he's a good neighbor, so we look forward to supporting his development and having that garage gone and a new one put in its place.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm going to have clerk read in a letter of support.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we received this letter. Phil Sundenfield is my neighbor who resides at 21 Tibbetts Avenue, is looking for town approval to tear down the existing 2-car garage and replace it with a new 2-car garage. Phil discussed the design and showed us the drawings for the design of the new proposed garage. We would like to give our approval as neighbors to allow the construction of this new garage, and there are 9 signatures from the residents at 5, 6, 13, 14, 16, 17, and 19 Tibbetts Avenue.
Okay. Anyone else from the public would like to speak on 21 Tibbetts Ave? Yes, come on up. Hi,
Again, Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. Would a condition that those lifts only be used to elevate a vehicle that doesn't get damaged by the water, not be used for anything other than that?
I don't know if that's anything we could control. I think that would.
Well, you can't control the weather and the water.
No,
I'm
but I
just
don't
con-
even think we could control the,
Yeah,
I mean, how, that's not really
What he does
enforceable.
in his garage is not our business.
So it would be up to a neighbor if he's doing other than what we're talking about tonight. They'd have to complain to the,
Yeah, I think we're here to approve the garage, the raising of one garage and the approval of a new one. And I think from what I understood from Mr. Zakelli, we'll start to see more of these in these parts of town that border the water. I'm assuming they are something that kind of a good thing to have with a garage that's on the waterfront. So I don't think it's something we could condition.
I'm not objecting to what's been presented about the lift, but as the gentleman said, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, so something has to be reviewed. But as far as not watching his cars drowned out there is not a problem. Thank you.
Okay, you got it. Anyone else, 21 Tibbetts? Okay, we'll come back and deliberate, and Jeff, I'll start with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the design looks beautiful. How can we complain about going from 2 feet to almost 5 feet? And it looks like it's appropriate in scale and design for the neighborhood, and I think it's going to be a great project. I'm all for it.
Very good. Ken?
I agree with Jeff. I think its design looks very good and stuff. I'd vote for this.
Doreen?
I agree with both my colleagues. I think the new design is really nice. I think it will fit in the neighborhood, and I definitely think it's somewhat correcting the issue that was there before with regard to the location of the garage. So I will vote for this.
Thank you, Corinne. And yeah, I too will vote for this. I think it's, that neighborhood in my 15 years or so on this board has really transformed itself. It's, I'm not sure what you called it, the Danvers Riviera or something, but it's great, and I'm glad that the neighbors are doing great work down there. And, it's obviously it's a tight fit. And as Jeff stated, to be able to kind of increase the setback a little bit, it sounds like you'll help your neighbor's fence situation in doing so. So with all that said, I guess I would just ask that we make sure we get an updated drawing to reflect the setback that includes the overhang. But with that said, if I could get a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to issue a finding under Section 3.11 and 3.12 of the Danvers Zoning Bylaw to demolish a pre-existing non-conforming garage on a non-conforming lot and build a new garage that will be located closer to the property line than permitted as of right, and that the extension or enlargement is appropriate in scale and mass for the neighborhood.
I've got a motion. Can I get a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Good
You
luck.
got it. Good luck. Good luck with your project.
Thank you.
You got it.
You all set?
Give me 1 second. Okay, yes, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, our next case is 223 Conant Street, that's an R2, requesting a finding under Section 3.11 of the Danvers Zoning Bylaw to expand a non-conforming building on an undersized non-conforming lot. Request made by Brian Almond, docket number 23-5050.
Hi there, good evening.
How you doing?
You must have a hard time staying away from the ice cream place across the street.
Yes, it's very difficult when you can see it from the window.
For the record, if you could identify yourself and your address, please.
Yes, Brian Allman at 223 Conant Street.
Yeah, so tell us what you'd like to do.
So I'm finally a finding, kind of after the fact, for an addition we want to put up at our house. So it's like a 17 by 29 foot addition off the side of our house, and you can see from the picture here. So we applied for a building permit. When I say we, the contractor submitted it with the building department with Danvers. It got approved and issued, and then after construction already started, we were told we had to file this finding after the fact.
Yes, I had a conversation with Mrs. Kelly and our building inspector about your property specifically, because I think there was, I think it was just and I'll go out to you, Brian, on this. I think it was just,
Clerical
it
error.
was a clerical error or something out of it.
Well, and we found out that 225 is doing the same thing. So it was
That's what it was.
that we're going
Okay,
to
yeah,
have
your neighbor's
225
doing an
coming
additional
in. We're going to have 225 coming in as well for this, essentially the same project. There's a front setback encroachment, a side addition that's still encroaching on the front, and that's why it's a finding.
Okay, so this work's already begun.
Yes, yes.
So
we're
you're
giving-
here after the fact, but only because it was not stated that you needed this finding upon
Yeah,
pulling the
they-
permit
So
initially.
my understanding and our contractor's understanding was the work could continue and we'd just go
Yes.
through the
As long as you came in
formality
and
of it,
applied.
you know,
Gotcha.
applying in front of the zone, yeah.
Okay. Anything else you want to tell us about the project?
Well, things look great so far, so.
And it's not winter yet, so you're able to move
Yeah,
forward.
but it's, like I said, it's off, I used to have a carport and a shed that all got removed, and then we went out towards the abutting neighbor, and we stayed 15 feet off of them because of, you know, the zoning, so we kept that in mind when we were doing the plans, and then, pretty straightforward, it's just gonna be like a master suite with a new mudroom side entrance, and
Okay, so the carport will be no longer.
yes, so you can see
This will be an extension of your home.
yeah, so carport's gone and the shed is gone, so
Okay.
the new addition will be the furthest our structure goes to our abutting neighbor.
Okay, and you just heard my conversation with the prior applicant. Is there any overhang here?
I don't believe so, it's just the side of the,
It's minimal.
yeah, it's,
And what, I guess, is the setback 16.4 at the closest point? Is that what I'm seeing? Just trying to understand that side setback.
It's the front. It's the one that's on,
Conan?
it's on Conant is
That's the one?
is the problem, yeah.
Okay.
yeah, the front facing, so my house faces Conant Street.
Yeah, got it, okay.
So,
And
it's
this
30
is a
feet.
corner lot,
In a
correct?
corner lot, we have Laureen Road
Yeah.
that goes to
Oh,
our
so you got
left.
30 feet in both directions.
But you need 30 on both sides.
They
I
need,
already know
they need 30 on Conant, yeah. They need 30 on Conant, but only have 14.9 now and 17 later, because 17 is still non-compliant. That's why it's a finding and not a special permit.
Got it.
But the average of the front setbacks is small, right?
This is a very good point, but the only way to prove that would be to get which has happened, we found out 22 times so far in Danvers, where someone actually went out and surveyed the whole street to get the average setback. But we do think that it would be it would work. However, the amount of money that it would cost to do all of Conant Street is prohibitive, and it makes sense to just come in front of the board.
Yeah, and then it is kind of in line with the existing, I guess, house. We didn't go any further towards Conant Street.
Okay.
It's set back a little, you know, in line with the other side of the house, I guess you could say.
Okay, anything else you want to present?
No, that's all I had.
All right, Corinne, I'll go out to you.
So basically, the building permit was applied for, it was approved, and it wasn't until after the fact that the building inspector realized that he needed to come in front of the board. Is that the sequence?
I think it's really, Corinne, because his neighbor came in to do a similar project, and then it was determined that it had gotten missed. And so we
Okay.
will be seeing another application moving forward, but that triggered to, I think the
Yeah.
word was, hey, my neighbor's doing this. And that kind of caused a second look, and so he's doing this retroactively because it was missed initially.
Okay.
No fault of his own.
Okay. I have no further questions, thank you.
Thanks. Ken?
I have no questions.
Jeff?
I'm just trying to understand, so that where the carport is, that's where the addition is going to be,
Correct.
and it's going to be set back even further than the existing piece of the house that's there already.
Yeah,
A
Correct.
couple of feet back.
So it's gonna be 20 feet back from Conant Street.
Okay, and the other part of the house is
14.9.
is 14, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I have no further questions.
Okay. And, Mr. Alman, what is the square footage of the addition?
It's just under 500 square feet. It's
500.
17 by 29, so
And the house itself is how much?
roughly like 1,500 in the ballpark. It's a single-story ranch. It's,
And this addition is single story as well?
yes, yep. No, we didn't go up, we just went out.
Okay. I don't have any additional questions. Anybody here from the public want to be heard on 223 Conant Street? All right, hearing none. Corinne, I'll go back out to you.
I just have one other question. Will you be keeping the shed, or are you taking that down?
No, he already stated he was taking it out.
Shed's gone.
Okay.
Shed's already
Okay.
gone. Project's already
Yeah,
started.
Okay, no, I knew that, and I thought the shed was down, but I wasn't sure if he was going to include like a shed
A new
as
one.
part of like his
Yeah.
new plan.
No plans for a new shed.
No plans right now, no.
Okay, now you can deliberate.
Okay. Okay, I will vote for this.
Thank you, Corinne. Ken?
Yeah, when I drove by, I saw him working on it, and so, looks like it's coming along. Hopefully they get it done before the winter, before it gets really cold. But
Yeah, it's weather tight, but still cold.
nice. I'll vote for this.
Okay, thank you, Ken. And Jeff?
Yeah, I will vote for this. It's certainly no more encroaching than what presently exists, and I think, it's fine, so I will vote for this.
And I too, I think this is a very modest addition to this home. And I can see why things transpired the way they did, so you can have your neighbor over in your new addition
Yeah,
when he
thank you.
gets his, I guess, right? So, but yes, I would vote in favor, so if I could get a motion, please.
We can find the voting guide. Mr. Chairman, I move to issue a finding under Section 3.1 of the Danvers Zoning Bylaw to expand a non-conforming building on an undersized non-conforming lot where the addition will still be non-conforming with respect to front setback, and that the extension or enlargement is appropriate in scale and mass for the neighborhood.
I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None?
Good luck.
Good luck with your project.
Thank you.
Okay, and
Send
our
in your neighbor.
final case for the evening, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our final case is 55 Brooksby Village Way, Walmart, Route 114A, requesting a variance under Section 9.3.B.2 of the Danvers zoning bylaw to allow at most 21 storage containers to be on site each year between September and January. Request made by WS Asset Management, Inc., care of Jennifer Hodes, docket 23-5051.
Hi, good evening. Something I want to state, which I keep forgetting to state on all the other cases that came before us tonight. You were, by law, allotted a 5-member board. We only have a 4-member board tonight, so if you choose to not have a vote, you can have it continued if it doesn't look like it's going your way.
Fair enough.
With that said, if you could introduce yourself and tell us what it is you're looking to do.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Phil Mackey, Mackey & Mackey, 1256 Washington Street, Norwood, Massachusetts. As counsel for and on behalf of the applicant, with me is Ms. Jennifer Hodes, the general manager, excuse me, of the Danvers Walmart. We are here in front of you basically asking for a variance. Ms. Hodes worked with the planner to put together the application, and it was felt that this was the appropriate mechanism by which to ask your permission to have up to, but no more than, 21 trailers temporarily on site between October and, I believe, January 7th. So to go through the statutory criteria very briefly, basically I would respectfully submit that if you so choose to vote affirmatively, that it is within your authority to grant the requested variance. We have the site up on the screen here, and so as far as the lot goes, there are some unique characteristics of this. We've Crane Brook to one side, and literally the rest of the lot is encircled by swamp. So that really does curtail where the building, parking, and all of the hardscape, if you will, appurtenances can go on this lot. And again, it looks like there's room to expand and potentially put buildings or other temporary storage, but there isn't, because basically we're on an island in the middle of what used to be a much larger swamp. And so with that, we would submit that the literal enforcement of the bylaw allows us to have 2 trailers. That leaves us 19 short. And when I'm done going through the boring stuff, if you will, Ms. Hodes will give you a more detailed description of the operation of the store, which I'm sure is what you're also very interested into. But for the period between October and January, there's a significant increase in merchandise, both for in-store events, just the online shopping, and there's a need to accommodate approximately 200 more pallets worth of merchandise during this period than any other period in the year. And so the preferred solution for Walmart is to bring the trailers on site and use those as necessary. And again, Ms. Hodes can discuss this more in depth if you so choose. Sometimes she can use all 21, sometimes she doesn't. But by doing it in 40-foot trailer increments, she can somewhat tailor the storage on site to what she actually needs. And so we would suggest that not allowing this would in fact cause a substantial hardship to the operation of the store. By way of illustration, if the merchandise isn't stored on site, it has to be stored off site. And though that's a very simple thing to say, that leads to a litany of other logistical nightmares of trying to continually supply the customers for Walmart. So basically what would happen if that were the case is another location, not here, would have to be found. And one of the loading bays would be dedicated literally for an on-call truck, semi, from the off-site location to on-site. And as customers came in and wanted their merchandise, the truck would get called. So you would end up with having to both schedule what goes on the truck and how soon it gets into the store, rather than going on site and pulling it out of the appropriate trailer. But you also are now decreasing the loading space for the normally scheduled materials coming in, which then in turn will snowball into or impacting the supply chain, if you will, of just the normal operation of the store, separate and distinct from the issue of the on-site storage of these 200 extra pallets. And you can kind of see that this is going to snowball not into just an aggravation for the store, but it's going to increase traffic on 114. It's going to increase the amount of truck traffic on 114 more specifically. It's not the customers are the customers. And again, Jen can go into that more as necessary. But we would submit that if you put all of this as a totality, there would actually be a significant hardship in requiring Walmart to store these pallets off-site during this period of time. The second or third criteria, however you want to look at the Mass General laws, talks about desirable relief and the substantial or without substantial detriment to the public good. The store currently has 21 trailers on site, so this is somewhat of a mea culpa. That said, we would submit that the site itself is very well run. It's clean, it's tidy. I can tell you that there are some Walmarts not too far from here that can't say either of those things. And I would attribute that to the good auspices of Ms. Hodes. And we would submit that if you look at the current operations of the store right now, there is no detriment if you allow them to continue to operate as they are. And then the last section that you have to make a finding for is that you can grant this without nullifying or substantially derogating from the intent and purpose of your bylaws. You guys are clearly the experts here, but I did take the liberty going through the bylaws. The purpose of the Route 114 Corridor Zone A, I'm quoting here, is to control the design of commercial and industrial development along the 114 corridor, now I'm paraphrasing, in a manner that encourages sound planning and enhances physical appearance and economic health. And then you go to Section 9 of your bylaw and you talk about storage containers, and the regulations there are specifically intended to regulate the placement and usage and minimize negative impacts. There are a couple other purposes, but that's basically the purpose and intent of the bylaw as far as I can tell. And respectfully, if you choose to grant the requested relief, we think you are, in fact, helping a very well-established business maintain its operations right where it is on 114, and you are actually minimizing the impacts on 114 and the surrounding area because they can keep everything on site without having 2 or 3 or 4 or more extra truck traffic deliveries a day for this period of time. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm sure you want to hear from Jen, so I'd like to turn it over to her.
Very good.
And she'll give you a brief overview of how she runs the store and really why she needs this.
Thank you. And, Ms. Holt, if you could, just bend that microphone down a little bit so it catches you. There we go.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Hodes. I am the store manager of the Danvers Walmart on 55 Brooksby Village Way. We currently have 21 trailers on site. We use them for our Black Friday storage. We have 2 events this year. Our first event was 60 pallets. Our second event is 100 pallets. So majority of the storage is for our Black Friday event on this Friday following Thanksgiving. We do use some of them as well for our Christmas storage freight. We will be out of all of them by the 2nd of December, hopefully, and then be able to schedule a pickup first week in January.
Okay, is there anything else you guys want to present? And
No,
just,
Mr. Chairman, I think we
Attorney
can answer
McKay,
questions.
if you could, just recap again for me. You're saying you want these from October to January?
Yes, I believe the application says October to January 7th. For clarity, we'd actually ask for
But
October 1st.
you're asking for that to be open-ended, so you want that every year?
I think it was actually September.
Yeah, I was going to enter, yeah,
Application.
so
Okay, so
Jennifer's
September?
correct. The application was from September to January.
Okay. Okay, before I turn it over to my fellow board members, something that sticks in my craw a little bit is, are you familiar with the decision that was granted by this board in 2017 with regards to outdoor sales? I'm going to go on a limb and say probably not.
No, I was not in
Yeah, I
position
didn't
of the
think so.
store.
So this board with Walmart in 2017 hammered out a very detailed plan, kind of like what you're looking for tonight. That's not being followed at all. And I bring that up only because I think it's pertinent to this. And again, it's a different application, and I understand that. But it's very troubling to me that you, as the store manager, have no idea about it. And it was something that you guys requested, that this board spent hours and several meetings hammering out an agreement on where outdoor sales could take place, again, with specific dates, and I'll just read here. You know, we designated 36 parking spots outside, that 4 racks could be allowed outside, totaling 16 linear feet, that the sidewalk would be marked for merchandise location, and the sidewalk sales would be from March 1st to July 31st, and the parking lot sales would be March 1st to June 30th. Again, these were all requested by Walmart. We didn't come up with this. So when it comes back around to me, I just, you know, I don't like to blindside you, but none of this is being followed. I frequent your store. Your employees don't know about it either. So I want to understand what we're going to do to rectify that. It's very hard for me to think we would grant you something else when we're not following something that's 6 years ago. And I understand, you know, the nature of the beast here is, you know, managers change at these stores quite often, and you're not alone. It's not just Walmart. It's all of the larger box stores. So I guess, Attorney McKay, are you aware of this decision from 2017?
I am.
Okay.
As of about 48 hours ago.
All right. Fair enough.
But I can't say that I'm not. I did find out about it on Friday.
Okay. Well, again, I just, you know, again, I sat on the board one that was hammered out, and it was a request by you guys because you weren't in compliance at that time. And we got you to come in here, and we hammered out an agreement. And again, you know, these 21 trailers are on site now, again, in violation. You're now again before us trying to hammer out an agreement. So I'm just, I guess, highlighting the fact because I just feel like maybe it's going to work with this current store manager and you representing Walmart at this time, but what happens 3 years from now? And does it get followed?
I completely agree with you.
And how does Walmart ensure it gets followed? So I guess something to think about.
We actually, at Home Depot,
Yeah.
asked them to put up plaques.
Yeah,
And
lanyards or, not lanyards, laminates for their employees. so
that
they
was,
would
that
know.
was outdoor sales and storage, that they were just putting merchandise everywhere and creating danger. And now if you go to the Home Depot, you know, behind the mall, the pavement is marked and everyone is aware, and they had to come in every 6 months to, you know, get read the riot act. And then the managers leave, and then it's all reset and starts over again.
Anyway, I just, again, I'm not trying to beat you up on it, but you know, it's hard for this board to sit and make these decisions, get agreement, and everybody on the same page, but then it doesn't get followed.
If I could propose potentially a compromise.
Sure.
Maybe, so I would like to get them, and I hear everything you say, and I agree with you both. And I presume the other two board members feel similarly. So I agree with the board, and I know where you're coming from. I don't have the ability right now to figure out how to answer your questions. I saw you do basically a show cause for 6 months. I don't know if 6 months is correct, maybe a year is correct. 5 years probably isn't. I would suggest that and I have to defer to the planner if you can do this, but I think you can. If you could grant the variance or some stay for this year, because we're unfortunately
you're
get right in the middle of Black Friday, with the caveat that we either refile to amend. I believe Walmart is actually going to be in the process of looking to expand for a full grocery. But basically saying we're going to come back to you and put conditions in place so that your concerns are addressed, and there is a mechanism that when Jen gets promoted and becomes regional manager or whatever the next step is up, her successor knows what's going on. Because I hear you and I agree with you. You guys shouldn't be chasing them. And if you force somebody to come in and talk to you periodically,
Yeah, and
Then
we
you don't-
have done that in the past. So I'll turn it over to the board. We'll ask questions of your application.
Sure.
But again, I just wanted you to be thinking about this a little bit because it is something that, you know, it's very similar to what you're asking for tonight.
yes.
It's another thing you're coming to us with a plan because you got kind of caught with your hand in the cookie jar, for lack of
Agreed.
better words. And that was the case with this agreement in 2017. It's not being followed. So I made my point. I'll start with you, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm in no mood to vote for a variance tonight, that's for sure. I think you guys need to get educated on the previous decisions. I have no questions concerning this application. We could see from that overhead shot of the building that there were trailers even in that shot, and that probably was before September. So I guess those are double trailers there, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 trailers on site already.
My trailers weren't delivered till September 1st.
Okay, well, we see them in the picture there. So I have no questions about this application
Okay.
at the moment, so
Thank
we'll
you.
just...
Ken?
Yeah, so how's it working out with the fork trucks and stuff? I mean, the way they're situated now, can you get in and out of them all okay? I assume you put them in such a fashion that works out good.
Yes, all of the trailers are able to be fully opened and are able to have a forklift into it. There is enough space between every single trailer to load and unload.
Yeah, I did drive the perimeter in behind there and stuff, and I didn't see, it did look clean. I didn't see any issues back there. It wasn't a lot of junk, and it looks like a lot of room. You don't have parking back there either, obviously, so there wouldn't be any problem with pedestrians and stuff like that. So, I mean, I have no, that's more of a comment, so I have no other questions.
Thank you. Corinne?
I don't have any questions at this time because I agree with Jeff. I'm not really ready to vote on this. There are too many questions about this property, and I also think if they're not in compliance with the other relief we granted, we probably shouldn't be granting more relief at this time.
Thank you, Corinne. Ms. Hode, am I saying your name correctly, I hope?
It's pronounced Hoodies.
How long have you been manager at this location?
I started in August a year, so I've been August 2022.
Okay. And you already stated you weren't aware of the prior agreement for the outdoor sales, and it's, by the way, it's also specific to floral sales, right? So the tendency is to want to put shovels and everything else out on the sidewalks. I get it, you guys are trying to sell product, but that's why this other decision came before us. So you were there in August of last year. I guess so you're saying these 21 trailers that are there now, they all were delivered in September?
Yes, September 1st was when they were delivered.
And prior to
requested.
September, how many trailers were on site?
We had 0 trailers on
Zero
site prior
trailers.
to September.
And are the trailers all loaded from your loading dock in the back, or are some loaded, I know this is a somewhat related question. You have the front of your store where the bollards are, and then there's a set of doors in the rear area that customers used to be able to go in and out of, but I guess you can't anymore. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Are you referring to our garden center?
Yes.
So our garden center is open only in the summer.
Okay.
Majority of the Walmart's only open
But even
at
in the
summer
summer, when I
sales.
went this summer, I couldn't go in those doors.
I'm not sure what day or what time you were referring to. Sometimes when it heavy rains, we close that because the rain does come into the store. But unfortunately, we do open that from May until about the end of July.
So those rear doors into your garden center are only open in May?
From May to July, end of July.
Okay. Well, I know we're here on the trailers, so I'm trying to keep my questions around the trailers. So why 21? Is this all just Christmas, Black Friday related? It's all just this time of year?
Yes, we receive additional pallets for Black Friday. We have 2 events this year. Last year we had 3. The first event was around 50 pallets. The second event is on the Black Friday, and it is 110 pallets. So, and we'd also receive additional Christmas freight, which we store inside the trailers up until the first week in December when it all will reach the floor.
All right, so all the products and I'm not familiar with the rear of the building as much, but that's not gated back there, correct? I mean, is that why Ken was able to drive
I just
it?
drove through.
No, it is not gated. We do have a gate in the back of our building where we do have connection to Brooksby Village. And then we have the walking path directly behind our building where we have the...
So these
A rail
trailers
trail.
are offloaded via forklift
Yes.
and brought in only to your dock?
Yes, they are brought into our dock in the back. It is also, we can bring out a cart and take some boxes off if needed for our customers.
Like pallet jack type of thing?
Like a cart that has wheels that we're able to grab a couple boxes out. For our seasonal Christmas merchandise, we do not keep it on pallets. We just keep it in a bin area so we can pull it out and locate it efficiently for our customers when they do need that product.
Okay, well, yeah, and again, as someone who frequents your facility, I'm not there that often, but I noticed the trailers, and I was like, why are they here? So, no different than 2017, which was, why is this now a garden center outside in the parking lot? So, I just find it, I guess I'll save that for comments. Any additional questions from the board? Corinne, do you have anything?
I have no further questions now,
Jeff,
thank you.
Are your forklifts all propane forklifts or electric, or?
We have propane forklifts.
And what are the hours that you're loading and unloading merchandise from these trailers?
So it starts at 7.
Okay.
And it can end, we usually don't do it in the dark, so it usually ends around 4 o'clock today. When it was later, it was 5 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
And you don't have security concerns overnight? Is there security on site? I'm kind of surprised.
So all of our trailers, we have locks on them, and we have alarm magnets saying that they will not be able to access that.
Okay.
An alarm will go off.
And what are the store hours over there?
We open our store at 6 a.m. and we close at 11 p.m.
6 to 11, that is a long day.
It's a long day.
And so I know with most stores, the restocking goes after you close. So is that when these trailers start getting access? Is that 11 p.m.?
No, we have our first shift who goes there at 5 a.m. They will wait until they're done their job duties and then process material into the trailer between 7 and their end of the shift, which is noon to 1. So that is majority of the time when we access and load things into our trailers. We do not load it after that point.
So at 7 a.m. is the earliest you start unloading or loading these trailers?
Yes, we don't. I don't
And you
allow
don't
my
go beyond
associates.
noontime?
We will go sometimes for events. For example, we had to keep unloading up until 5 p.m. When we were unloading for their first event that happened last
Okay, but I guess the
Friday.
question I'm getting to, which I think you've answered, is you're not doing anything overnight.
No,
And certainly not after 11 p.m.
our store is armed and locked on overnights, so they physically have to unarm our store for them to
Gotcha.
access the outside, which we do not allow unless it's breaks or lunches.
All right, and again, because you're before us on this, I just want to understand, you've now been at this location over a year. What did you know about this agreement for outdoor storage and sales prior to coming to our Danvers location?
So I didn't have much knowledge prior to this until I received a letter in the mail. I did come to the town hall when I had heard that someone had said something about the plants being outside this year. So
That would have been me.
I was not under the understanding. I did talk to Emily, who works in the town hall. She informed me that we would have to look into seasonal. Sometimes we allow seasonal trailers, and I referred to my manager. They said they had petitioned or had got some type of seasonal trail allowance, which was mistaken. So then that caused me to go to
This
the
was on the
town.
trailers, though, correct?
Right.
No, I'm talking about, you've been there over a year. I'm talking about outdoor sales for flowers and product.
I was not aware until this
Yeah.
summer when someone had came in
So,
to inform me.
again, I'll fire my question to Attorney McKay. Attorney McKay, I just think to move forward, we just really need a more bulletproof plan that will work. And besides a check-in, and I agree with you, a check-in's great. It works for both sides, if you ask me. Gives us some comfort that what we discuss here is actually being followed, or it doesn't need tweaking. And let you guys kind of know, that everything's going well as well. But, I just don't, there's how many Walmarts across the country, right? I mean, thousands, right?
Yes.
And I just think Walmart needs a specific way to inform your new managers of local decisions. I don't know what that is. I can't sit here and pretend to tell you. As Jeff indicated, other box stores in town have put laminated, large, 11 by 17 drawings up in their break rooms or whatever, to inform their employees. Just a suggestion, but I just feel like if Ms. Hode moves on, and we're having this nice discussion tonight, and I'm sure you guys will go off and rectify all this, but once she moves on, we're right back to square one, right? So,
I completely agree with you.
okay, so maybe that's something to think about. I think I heard from a couple of members that weren't willing to really move forward on this tonight, but I'm going to go out to the public unless there's more questions from anybody on the
Nope.
board. Are you good? No, you've got a question, okay.
He's got a gnarly comment.
Yes, sir.
Again, Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1, and it is a comment. It's unfortunate that information available, discussed and agreed on, isn't passed on from one generation to the next, so that this kind of an incident like is being discussed tonight happens. Just a comment.
Thank you. Okay, and Attorney McKay, I actually have copies of our public minutes from 2017 I'm happy to share with you.
That would be wonderful.
And, however,
Don't have the votes. certainly.
I would think it would be appropriate to request a continuance.
sure,
would
and,
be-
and again, we'll have a fifth member at our next meeting. He'll get up to speed with where we're at, but, I mean, it might be, I would think some value to comment on the trailer piece of this, though, just in case there's anything that needs to be adjusted. So I started with you, Jeff, so your thoughts on what's before us?
I hate approving something after the fact that, has been in violation for so long. But looking at it as is this more detrimental than what's there already? It's there already, so maybe it would need some gating for preventing traffic or whatever, but I don't have any opposition to the 21 trailers being there. And as long as they're being accessed between, say, 7 and 5 or 7 and dark or whatever, and not disturbing the neighbors, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay,
But
thank you.
like I said, I'm not ready to grant a variance tonight
Sure,
based on the other issues.
understood. Ken?
Yeah, I have no problem with the 21. They seem to be situated fine. You have the room there. So, I mean, I would make a comment, though. I mean, so with the continuance, they get to use them, obviously.
Well,
for
they're
this.
already using them.
Yeah, good, all right. So that would be
Yeah,
bad if you had to.
that's already
take them out.
happening.
Yeah, so, like I said, I have no problem with those trailers.
Corinne?
I agree with Jeff. I have no problem with the 21 containers for now. I'm not ready to rule on the variance yet until we have those other issues resolved. So again, I would vote to allow them to have the 21 containers now and access them and all of that. And then maybe they can continue the application with regard to the variance.
And are you also in favor of some kind of check-in period? I guess.
Oh, no. Oh, no, absolutely, but I guess, recommend that when we talk about, or when we discuss and finalize the variance. Because aren't they gonna have to come back now?
Yeah, I think we're gonna, well, we'll ask what the applicant wants to do, but yes, I don't think we're prepared to vote, but, yeah, okay. Anything else do you want to add, or that's it?
That's it for now.
Okay. And again, Attorney McKay, I do look at these trailers as, they don't seem detrimental, in a way, but I guess I just don't like how it's before us. I question why 21. I think you've said, well, it's because we have X amount of pallets. I get it. I don't know, I guess I struggle with the whole thing. But I guess for you, I would just like some kind of, as bulletproof as you can make it, plan that says these agreements that we hammer out here with the town of Danvers get followed, regardless of who's in charge over there. I don't know how to make that happen. Maybe
I can
you'll
find
get
them.
some kind of bonus if you can figure that out for all hot box stores, but.
Your words to God's ears, but in all seriousness, I will call Arkansas I can't get any higher than that.
Sure.
So if you give me some time, I am happy to come back at your next meeting, although it may still be, I'm in process of working through it. But I'm here to work with you.
Yeah, no, and us as well. I mean,
And so
you
that's
know,
where I'm going with this.
You're part of our community, and again, those rear doors confuse me a little bit, as someone who likes to park back there and use those doors to go in, but then when they're not open, I can never figure out why or where. I do agree with my fellow board members. It does seem like the site is clean and run well from the outside. I think you get a lot of volume over there, obviously. It's a lot of cars all the time. And I think, Brian, did you want to say something? No.
So for the
Yeah, go ahead.
For the variance, it was not entered into the system prior for the trailers needing to come to the meeting and to file. I did file that, so it is updated in the system. So even if I am not there, say in 2 years, 5 years, I plan on being there for a very long time. I don't plan on just staying here and leaving to another store. I do like Danvers. So I did update that into our system where we schedule our trailers. I did enter all that information I received from the town hall into that system, so it is there permanently. So moving forward, that if I am on a leave of absence and someone is covering my place, they do have that knowledge, and everyone moving forward was not entered into the system properly or in a timely manner.
Well, with all due respect, though, we heard this same story in 2017. So I think the fear from me is we give you the 21 trailers and your predecessor decides, hey, I need 35 trailers. And they just get the 35 trailers. So I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that's what happened in this prior decision where we came up with a detailed plan that you guys recommended that you're not following. And I won't say, I think it's a lack of process on Walmart's side on why you're not following it. Because the decision was granted by this board, but it was at the request from Walmart, but only after Walmart was in violation, similar to what's before us tonight.
So I can't speak on anyone that was before me because I was just not
Sure.
there. But for what I have done moving forward is I did enter that into the system. Now it stays in the system until it is edited that we are allowed 2 trailers for seasonal freight. And if needed, we have to go to the board and apply for the application to get access to extra storage trailers. So all that is detailed into everything I had got from the town hall. So even if I am not there, that is still in the system. It was never entered. The home office is now aware of it as
Good,
well.
and I think that's great. And I guess I would ask, how do we get this entered in? Where it's the same thing, that we know that the outdoor sales are between certain dates. It's designated areas of your property. You know, it's not wherever you guys want to put it, it's where we agreed to, because the conversations that took place were about foot traffic and about safety and cash registers and what parking spots, was there going to be handy, and again, I don't want to rehash it because that's not why you're here tonight, but I think you guys will get what I'm saying. There's a pattern here.
Right.
You guys get caught doing something that's not allowed in the town of Danvers. Maybe it's allowed in other Walmart locations, but not Danvers. We come up with an agreement, and it's not followed. So you said you entered it in your system on this, the trailers, but we still have the old decision that we're not following. So you can see why this board's reluctant to grant another one that you potentially won't follow.
Speaking on trailers solely, that will be moving forward the correction of error. So everyone moving forward will be able to see that into the system. We can work for getting that entered into the outside plant storage and outside plant sales. We can work on getting that entered in 100%. We can find a way for that to be accessed simultaneously throughout the year. For the trailers that I brought forth today, that is entered in. I can provide documentation of when I entered it in and what it says when we have the continuance.
Okay, great. So you would like to take a continuance?
Yes, please.
All right, our next meeting is on the 27th of November. If that doesn't work, our next one after that is December 11th.
December 11th would be better.
12/11.
Because I need to run this up to someone who can help me make some decisions.
Sure. And again, in the interest of getting this all cleaned up, I think that's fine. So,
Mr. Chairman, I move that we continue this case to our meeting of December 11th.
I've got a motion, and can I get a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And if you have anything additionally you'd like to submit, just get it into the planning department
Sure.
at the time, and you're welcome to these minutes.
The Tuesday
very much.
before,
The Tuesday prior, yeah.
the Tuesday prior.
I can send you the special permit decision in the minutes.
That would be wonderful. Thank you
In
very
email.
much.
Yep, sure.
We've already
Okay.
got each other's.
And with that said, could I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And seconded.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
See you, Corinne.
Good night, Danvers.
See you guys later.